I guess the question, Dean, who's this a bigger game for tonight? Brighton without a win in 5, or Brentford still looking for their first away win of the season?
I still feel like when you're at home, it has to be the team that's at home, because you're in front of your home support, you're on a particularly poor run, and it's a chance and an opportunity, certainly around this time of the year, where you can lift the supporters, you can give them that hope again that this team can push forwards in the second half of the season, and especially with a team that's so close to you that if you do lose this game, can go ahead of you. So it feels like it's a big game for Brighton, but once again, when I look at Brighton, there's so many great patterns of play, but it's the players that stand out, individual players. Belieber for me at the moment is a player that I've watched over the last 4 or 5 months, and I'm just so impressed with the way he's slotted in. I am, absolutely I am. And, you know, Caicedo obviously left for big money, and this kid has come in at 20 years old and just looks so assured, got so many attributes to make him a top midfield player. And Enciso tonight getting an opportunity from the start. We all remember that stunning strike from distance against Manchester City, the injuries that he's had. Can he try and find that form once again?
I think he needs to, actually, because I think he's a player that potentially, if there's interest in taking him on loan in January, Brighton might consider that, bearing in mind this is his first league start of the season. Evan Ferguson not in the squad tonight, we're told, because of injury. I think they've got a big decision to make over him as well, haven't they? Yeah,
because he'll be the type of character I would expect that wants to play, having done already what he's done in his career, knowing the talents that he's got. And those individuals in this side, if they put it together, they're an unbelievable side. It's just gone a little stale in recent weeks, in both boxes. And it doesn't take much to turn that around, and tonight's a great chance for them.
Well, the two sets of players just emerging from the tunnel, only a few feet below us here in the press box at the Amex. There's pyrotechnics over on the far side, smoke currently filling the Sussex air as Fatboy Slim is belted out on the PA system. Will Brighton be able to provide the fireworks tonight to get back to winning ways, or will it be Brentford to sparkle here on Talksport 2? Just a reminder of the live football we have coming your way over the next few days. Over on Talksport at 8:15 tonight, big game for Arsenal as they look to cut the gap at the top to leaders Liverpool. They're at home to struggling Ipswich. On Sunday, we are jam full of live football. 12:30 here on Talksport 2. Sheffield United bidding to bounce back from defeat at home to Burnley as they take on West Brom in the Championship. 2:30 on Talksport. It's Leicester against the crumbling champions Manchester City. 3 o'clock here on Talksport 2. We've got Tottenham against Wolves. Tottenham beaten again at Forest on Boxing Day, and at 5:45 rather, live on Talksport. Derby against Leeds, the Championship leaders, making the relatively short trip to Pride Park. And on Monday night, Manchester United, talk about a team who need a win. They're at home to the revitalised Newcastle 5th in the Premier League table as it stands. That is an 8 o'clock kickoff, and of course we continue on New Year's Day. We have our comprehensive Around the Ground show, 1 o'clock on Talksport. Dean Ashton will be amongst the pundits on show, and at 8 o'clock on New Year's evening, Sunderland against Sheffield United, live and exclusive to National Radio on Talksport. That is another huge EFL game. Tonight though, our focus is on Brighton and Brentford in the Premier League. Where, Dean Ashton, could this game be won and lost?
Well, it's hard to look past at the moment for Brentford is those wide players, and Wermo and Sade's in decent form. Obviously Wissa through the middle against Veltman and Estupinian. Estupinian loves to get forwards, doesn't he, on that left-hand side? But will he be trapped in by Mbeumo for Brentford? And João Pedro, for me, a player that can look so scintillating but can also drift out of games. We both watched him at the London Stadium. He sort of drifts in and out of the game. He wanders into positions that he feels comfortable in. Where's he going to play? Is he going to play as the 9? Is he going to drop in and play as a 10? He's a player that can win a game on his own, though.
It's going to be interesting actually to see how they line up, because there was some chat in the press room amongst the local Brighton journalists that maybe Julio Enciso could play as a false 9 and allow João Pedro to operate in that number 10.
Well, Jorginho Rutter, who played alongside João Pedro against West Ham, they almost played as a 2 at times, especially out of possession they were a 2, and then they took it in turns almost to slot into that number 10 role at 9. I just think you then lose that focal point, which is what Danny Welbeck gives you. Danny Welbeck wants to stay up at the top end of the pitch. He wants to stretch the defence, whereas João Pedro wants to come short and get involved with the play, and I'm sure Enciso will do the same. Are they going to lose something with not having someone right at the top end of the pitch against Ben Mee and Collins?
Well, these two may both be in the bottom 6 in the recent form table, but if either can get back to winning ways this evening, it would get them right back in the hunt for a European place. That's why the stakes are so high at a packed Amex Stadium. Looking around me, there is not one empty seat in the house, and it's Brentford who get us underway here in their, well, predominantly dark green strip with yellow socks, shooting from right to left. Brighton in the blue and white striped jerseys, blue shorts and white socks, are attacking the goal away to our right hand side. I'll run you through once again the two teams in a moment, but Brighton have a throw in a promising position on this near right touchline, almost level with the penalty area. Joel Veltman will trot forward to take it. Already I'm noticing that Jan-Paul van Hecker is sporting a Terry Butcher style headband. He picked up a head injury, didn't he, at West Ham at the weekend, Dean? We were there.
Yeah, and it's sometimes you think, should a player be playing in the next game because of a head injury such as that, but neatly strapped, should we say.
Throwing taken short, Veltman with a cross from the right hand side, but into the side netting, and an early goal kick for Brentford. 0-0 the score here with just a minute played. Brighton, to remind you, have Verbruggen in goal. It's a back four of Veltman, Van Hecker, Dunk and Estupinian, Baleba and O'Reilly in midfield, with Gruder and Enciso and Matoma in behind João Pedro up front for Brentford. Flecken in goal. A back four of Roerslev, Collins, Mee and Lewis Potter, Janelt, Norgard and Damsgaard, a very Scandinavian midfield trio with Mbumo, Wissa and Sharda in that attack that's been full of goals over the course of the season. Brentford in possession. Ben Mee goes long, left-footed into the Brighton half. Veltman got there just ahead of Sharda and nods it back to his goalkeeper Verbruggen, who comes a long way out of his penalty area, the Dutchman, and clears it upfield.
Well, I'm sure we'll expect Brighton to want to keep plenty of possession. 7th in the league with 53%, whereas Brentford aren't as bothered. They will look to go a bit longer, quicker, and I think they will try and target. When Estupinian wants to go and drift, as he likes to, into midfield and really wide, will they target that area and try and draw Lewis Dunk out of his centre-back position?
Matoma has been dispossessed on halfway, and that allows Brentford to counter away to our left with the fleet of foot. Mikael Damsgaard plays it back to the halfway line, and Collins, the ex-Wolverhampton Wanderers defender, plays it out to his right-hand side where Roerslev can take over. He actually went off with a head injury at the weekend, Roerslev, but has been given the all-clear to start tonight. They've got 9 injuries, Brentford, coming into this game, many of them affecting their defensive options. The goalkeeper, Flecken, just 1 clean sheet in 19 appearances this season, opts to go long, and
well, that was a chance.
Picks out his opposite number in the end, because I think Wissa and Sharda almost got in each other's way.
Did. They absolutely did. Poor communication, and then Sharda at the last second thought, I'll try and go for it, and he just missed it. Otherwise they would have been in there, the two Brentford forwards. It's a decent ping from Flecken.
They aren't afraid to go direct, are they, Brentford, at times, as Gruder comes forward down the right for Brighton. Good little exchange between him and João Pedro, but Sharda gets back there and is just too strong for Gruder, making a second successive Premier League start. And then the ball is cleared out to this right-hand side by Flecken, kept in play by Mbumo, and then Lewis Dunk, the Brighton captain, side puts it out for a throw. 4 minutes gone, 0-0 here on Talksport 2. Both managers, Thomas Frank and Fabian Hürzeler, already patrolling their technical areas. Thomas Frank wearing gloves as Brighton come forward, and Enciso hits the post. Well, Brentford there caught short at the back, and Enciso seemed to have the freedom of the Amex to let fly from just inside the area. The goalkeeper was beaten, and Brentford saved by the frame of the goal, Dean Ashley.
Well, it was nearly a disaster defensively as O'Reilly's down the right.
Here they come again. O'Reilly with a chance to cross potentially. Good start from Brighton. Veltman does cross right-footed towards Enciso, and it's cleared away by Collins. Picked up on the edge of the area by Baleba, wearing lime green boots, Baleba, as he rolls it out to the Japanese international Matoma. everybody bar Bart Verbruggen, the Brighton goalkeeper, is camped inside the Brentford half of the field, such as the host domination in these first 5 minutes.
Well, just going back to that chance for Enciso, nearly a disaster for Brentford, trying to play out Flecken in towards midfield, who was quickly seized upon, straight into João Pedro, a little layoff to Enciso, tried to curl it in towards that far post and just bounced it off the base of the post and away. It was a real chance for Enciso to, I think, really lift his confidence.
Well, he hasn't scored actually in the Premier League since that goal you mentioned against Manchester City, the Premier League goal of the season back in May 2023. He won't come any closer. He's just headed wide as well, across, chipped in by Van Hecke. Bit of breaking news from the Championship. This was suggested to me a week or so ago actually that could be on the cards. Stoke City have parted company with their head coach Narcis Palach. He was only appointed on September the 18th. They're 9 games without a win, so yet another manager has failed at the Bet365. They just can't seem to get it right in the dugout there. Breaking news on Talksport 2. Here is João Pedro raiding down the left for Brighton into the penalty area, but that was well defended by Vitaly Janelt, ushering the ball back to Flecken. He cleared upfield, 0-0.
Really, really good midfield play. Saw the danger, just slotted into a space that was opened up by João Pedro and just stepped across the Brazilian. Really good intelligence.
With that streak of blonde in his hair, coming forward down the Brighton right, getting it back from Veltman, and then a couple of step overs from Enciso. Looks in the mood, doesn't he? But as I say that, he gives it away. And it's going to be Mikkel Damsgaard to try and get Brentford on the attack, and Bumo dispossessed inside the centre circle, and here comes Enciso again, being urged to shoot by the Brighton fans. Maybe he should have done, because he opted to try and roll it forward to João Pedro. Got the pass still wrong, and it's cleared away by Roerslev. 0-0, but Brighton on top then.
Very much so, and a nice combination already between Enciso and João Pedro. Good understanding between the pair.
And here's Gruder, edge of the penalty area, cutting in from that right hand side. Belieber forward to João Pedro, tried the 1-2 on the edge of the box with O'Reilly, still alive with Belieber, who shoots left footed, and it's a good save, low down by Flecken. The danger not over yet though. Gruder with a cross into the box, then Enciso couldn't get there. Van Hecke will keep the home side on the attack. The Brighton supporters encouraged by this start. Gruder into the penalty area, away from his man, pulls it back. O'Reilly is there, and his shot deflects behind for a corner. 0-0.
Incredibly bright start from Brighton. Every time that Brentford try and clear it, they're on them, they're pressing, they're winning it back straight away. Belieber with a decent strike. You'd expect Flecken to make the save, and he does the right thing by palming it out of harm's way also. But they're just recycling the ball, looking to get the ball in the box when they can, get the runners from midfield too.
8 minutes gone on Talksport 2. Brighton 0, Brentford 0. Under the lights in foggy Sussex. Corner comes in from the right hand side towards João Pedro. Good header away by Ben Mee, and Enciso went for the overhead, didn't really make a clean connection, but just helps it on inside the penalty area to Gruder. Gruder, flanked by 2 Brentford players, in the end is content to win a throw over on the far side.
Yeah, it was a terrific defensive header. I think it was Ben Mee who was just about to be bulldozed by João Pedro. Brave header to get it away. Expect nothing less from him.
Belieber runs himself into a cul-de-sac on the edge of the Brentford penalty area, and Bumo just taps it back to Roerslev, and then Norgard gets a touch in midfield. The Bees haven't really been able to get a foothold in the game so far. 9 minutes gone, it's 0-0. Brighton have already hit the post with Enciso, and it's given away again on the edge of the Brentford area. João Pedro with a chance to run. Not totally sure what he was trying to do there, but it is kept alive by Estupinian. And then Enciso felt he was sent tumbling on the edge of the box. The referee Andy Madley had a very good view and says no, and then Worcester goes down, and Brentford, much to the frustration of the home fans, are given a free kick.
Yeah, and Thomas Frank, rightly so, turns round to the fourth official to say, well, give it another 10 or 15 minutes and that's a yellow card. Why would it not be a yellow card just because it's the start of the game? Matoma hacks down Visser, who's away on the counter-attack. Has to be a yellow card. Strange decision from Andy Madley.
Crystal Palace, the only team in the Premier League to win at the Amex this season. That was a chastening 3-1 defeat for the Seagulls against their arch rivals. Brentford have never won here in the Premier League. Of course, they've not won anywhere away from home this season, just 1 point from 8 games on their travels. The G-Tech such a fortress until that defeat home to Forest last time out. So Thomas Frank's side looking to bounce back, live on Talksport 2, but 0-0 the score with 10 minutes played in dank and dreary and very chilly conditions.
And over on that far side, Estupinian, he's the key player, I think, this evening, because he's up against Mbeumo, who will do the defensive work. He wants to help his side, but will want to get forwards. And Estupinian, he's just so dynamic with his movement, whether that's into midfield or into the forward areas or out wide. He really will be let loose by Hurtzler to go and raid down the left-hand side, and it could be the key to opening Brentford up or allowing Brentford to counter-attack down that side.
Verbruggen, the Brighton goalkeeper, plays the ball upfield. It's won back by Collins, and then Belieber with a strong challenge that leaves Norgard down, but the referee didn't see an infringement. Brentford have possession anyway, with Mbeumo down their right, cuts it back for Damsgaard, and his cross is blocked out of play by Belieber for a throw. Brentford trying to apply some pressure on the Brighton back line finally.
He's having a good season, Damsgaard, isn't he? Always knew he was a terrific player. Remember his goal in the Euros against England.
It's taken him a while, hasn't it, to adjust to Premier League life.
I think they found the position for him, and he's gone and linked up with the forward players brilliantly this season.
It's going to be a throw-in for Brentford. They aren't averse to launching it long. Schade hoists it into the penalty area, headed away by João Pedro at the near post. The referee spotted a handball anyway, so it will be a free kick for the Seagulls. 117 goals in games involving these two sides so far this season, so it shouldn't finish 0-0.
No, it shouldn't, because you've got 4 players that want to attack and maybe not defend at certain times. You've also got players that will drift out of position and leave holes for the opposition to exploit also.
João Pedro turning away from Ben Mee. He was being held by the Brentford centre-back, gets a free kick, takes it long, looks to pick out Matoma. Brilliant piece of control from him. Matoma into the penalty area, chance to cross, and Enciso in there with the header into the floor, and it bounces kindly into the arms of Flecker. That was a rapid Brighton counter-attack. All came from a really quick piece of thinking from João Pedro with a free kick, and brilliant skill by Matoma to take the ball from the air.
Magnificent, wasn't it, from Kara Matoma? The ball was just pinged out towards him, and it was like a swish of a fishing rod, that leg that just flicked out, controlled it, jinked inside, lovely little ball into Enciso, met it perfectly, just straight at the goalkeeper.
Here come Brentford at the other end, ball forward to Wissa inside the penalty area, and Johan Wissa picks out the right corner, and Brentford have the opening goal against the run of play. Talk about Route 1. It was launched upfield. Wissa was too quick for Veltman, who was the last man back for Brighton, and it's a brilliant finish into the far corner to make it Brighton 0, Brentford 1.
And it's down that side where Estupinian just gets drawn in by Bryan Mbeumo. He leaves the gap and dunks out of position, leaves a big hole. Van Hecke goes across and does nothing. Doesn't quite get there to block.
He's onside, is he? Wissa?
Oh, it's going to be so close. Of course it's going to be looked at.
I think if you look at the line, there is a suggestion to me that maybe Wissa's knee is slightly behind.
Well, you're trusting the groundsman then, that is perfect, that line.
It's a brilliant finish. A really good finish.
Just takes
but they are checking it for offside. I think he's off.
It's just that front knee, almost as he's making that stride, the first stride that he makes, Wissa, is whether that front knee just goes ahead. This is so close, you don't think about this as a forward. He's not looking across at Van Hecke's toe. He's making the run when he thinks he's timed it perfectly. He takes a brilliant first touch and then just whips it into the top corner.
Well, this is one of those that could take a while to clear up. We saw one, didn't we, at Anfield last night. Took 3 minutes. The red line's come across, and the commentator called it right. He was off.
He was. Just a fraction, that knee. just stepping across.
And the linesman's got his lines perfect.
I'll go and speak to him after and said that you called it and the groundsman were right.
Well, that's so unfortunate for Brentford, because it was such a good move, wasn't it, from front to back in no time at all, and then a brilliant finish from Wissa into the far corner. It would have been his 10th Premier League goal of the season, but it's ruled out and it stays 0-0.
Yeah, incredibly clinical, wasn't it? The opposite to what we've seen at the other end from Enciso. It was magnificent, the touch and the finish, but just strayed.
Well, the World Darts Championship is in full swing. We'll have live coverage as soon as we're done here at the Amex. Let's get an update from Ali Pally with Paul Nicholson.
Thanks, Alex. Yes, we're 2 sets into tonight's action with Gezi Price of Wales, the former world champion, up against Joe Cullen. Joe missed 2 darts to win the first set, subsequently lost the set in the next leg, so 3-2 Price in set 1, but in set 2 Price put his foot down, averaging over 108, and Cullen's resistance, it was there but it wasn't good enough, and again Price wins by 3 legs to 2. So it's Gezi Price 2, Joe Cullen 0.
Cheers, Paul. Live coverage from Alexandra Palace. Once we're done here, Brighton 0, Brentford 0. First 16 minutes has been a really good watch, actually. Brentford have had the ball in the net, ruled out for offside as they look to pick out Wissa on the edge of the area. Well defended by the men in blue and white. I guess you have to pay credit to these Brentford forwards. All 3 of them have scored plenty of goals this season. We don't really talk about the departure of Ivan Toney anymore, do we?
No, we don't. Visser's stepped in brilliantly, hasn't he, as the forward down the middle, and Sharda's come in and played well on this left-hand side. And we know all about Mbeumo. Just wonder how long can they hold on to him for.
Here's Vitali Yano, low left-footed ball to the edge of the area. Damsgaard trying to work some space, 10 yards outside the box. Collins will come forward. It's been a good 4 or 5 minutes for Brentford, having had to soak up a lot of early Brighton pressure. They've gone all the way back to their goalkeeper Flecken.
And every time he gets it, Flecken, he's threatening that long ball over the top, and it's just made Brighton just step off 2 or 3 yards, and then it's allowing him to either play into Norgard or clip it into one of the full-backs. And it's just that threat, isn't it, with all 3 players staying high for Brentford, that Flecken can go long and get them in behind, as they did for the disallowed goal.
It was literally 3 passes, wasn't it, to set up the chance. Collins has given the ball away cheaply inside his own half. Estupinian seized upon that mistake, and now Gruder linking up with Veltman down the right. Veltman will be the most relieved of the Brighton players. The goal was ruled out. Gruder thought about a shot. Was he brought down by Wissa just on the edge of the D? Yes, he was. Free kick in a promising position here for the Seagulls. 0-0.
Yeah, nice play from Gruder. He just saw Visser coming back to help defend, and he just added a chop on the ball just to take it away from Visser, and Visser couldn't stop. He didn't actually really make a challenge. It was his body that bounced into Gruder to win the free kick. And a nice opportunity from 5 or 6 yards outside the penalty area, just to the right-hand side.
He cost £25 million, Gruder, the German, signed from Mainz over in the Bundesliga, a player that clearly Fabian Hürzeler knows well, but took him a while to make his full Premier League debut. That only happened at West Ham on Saturday in that 1-1 draw. He wasn't overly impressive in East London. He's one of the 3 Brighton players stood over this free kick, and Ciso is just to the left of the ball. Veltman, if he's going to take it, I think it's going to be one of those defender shots where he runs from about 10 yards and just smashes it goalwards. Looks like Enciso is going to pull rank here. As you know, it is Gruder, left-footed, deflected, and that made it an awkward save for Flecken down to his right.
Well, you've got to hope that Flecken moves, and he didn't. He stayed his side, he trusted his wall, and Gruder went that side with no real height to his attempt, and made it very easy to Flecken.
It's a real contrast of styles, isn't it? Because straight after he made that save, Flecken's first thought was to just launch the ball long upfield. They're going from back to front very quickly, as we saw with the disallowed goal. Brighton's build up much more patient.
And also I think they recognise that maybe certainly the Brighton fullbacks aren't necessarily the most physical. So Sharda has already won a couple of headers against Veltman, and Mbeumo against Estupinian. just avoiding Van Hecke and Dunk, but looking once it's wide to then double up and support with Damsgaard and Jan Alt.
20 minutes gone here. Brighton 0, Brentford 0. Here's O'Reilly, the Danish international, facing many of his teammates in Brentford ranks this evening. Gruder switches the ball across the box from right to left. Matoma brings it down brilliantly again. It's flanked by two Brentford players in Roersleffen and Bumo, but back heels it and then crosses. It was Estupinian with the back heel and then Matoma with a cross. Just confirmation on the big screen as the ball sails into Flecken's gloves. Wissa's goal, initially awarded on field, VAR checked and established that Wissa was in an offside position, and therefore the goal was very quickly disallowed.
But that's the least the supporters deserve, isn't it? To at least understand what's happened with VAR. Difficult at the time, of course, but at least that was quickly dealt with. We didn't have the nonsense that we've seen over the last couple of days with over 3 minutes just for an offside, where you just can't understand why it is taking so long.
I couldn't get my head around that last night. The first goal that was ruled out, it was pretty clear he was onside. Get on with the game. The second goal that was given, it was pretty clear that Darwin Núñez was offside. You only needed to look at one still shot and it took 3.5 minutes. Baffling. Here's Wissa taking on Van Hecke. Well done by the Brighton defender. Stood tall and won back possession, but the clearance goes initially straight back to Brentford and Norgard. Brighton have it back now with Gruder. Forward to João Pedro inside the centre circle. He hurdles away from one challenge and then just lays it off short to Estupinian. And now Baliba, probably Brighton's player of the season so far, the Cameroonian. Van Hecke looks to pick out Matoma, and you know he's going to take the ball under his spell, even if it comes down with snow on it. And he does it again, Matoma, on that far side. Then rolls it back to Estupinian. Again, everybody bar Verbruggen is in the Brentford half away to our right. It's 0-0, but Brighton probing here, having already hit a post and had a let-off when Wissa's goal was ruled out for offside. Action-packed start to the game. Gruder, right corner of the area, forward to O'Reilly. O'Reilly with a cross, and it's headed goalwards by Enciso. Black power really, and it's straight into the arms of Flecken. 0-0.
Yeah, always difficult when there's not a lot of pace on the ball. He did his best to guide it towards goal.
Giving it away again, Brentford, well inside their own half. Enciso thought about the shot from distance, rolls it off to Veltman down the right hand side, and now Estupinian forward into Enciso. Looked lively so far, the Paraguayan, determined to make the most of his first start in the league this season. Gruder finds O'Reilly. O'Reilly into the penalty area, shoots low. That's a good save by Flecken, because it came for a crowd of bodies, and he saves it down to his right hand side.
Yeah, he's probably expecting O'Reilly to drift onto his left foot. He doesn't, he just taps it to the right hand side, takes the strike on through Ben Mee's leg, which he makes Flecken save even better because he's seen it late.
Lovely ovation there for Solly March as he comes out to warm up for the first time back in the Brighton squad after 14 months out injured. You've been there, Dean Ashton. It's the worst thing, isn't it, for a player?
Oh, it's horrendous. Yeah, 15 months for myself, but I tell you what, it's special when you get back and you hear those supporters and you get the nerves ready to get back on the pitch. Really hope he gets some minutes tonight.
Well, if he does, then you will be able to hear the roar all the way from here right into the centre of Brighton. We're on the outskirts of Brighton, deep in the heart of the Sussex Downs, under the lights at the Amex, 0-0 with 24 minutes played on Talksport 2. Don't forget live World Championship darts hot on the hills when we're finished here. It's already been a brilliant tournament. I know you enjoyed the sights and sounds of Ali Pali around Christmas time.
Yeah, maybe more the sounds than the sights, with how much I could see. Brilliant night, though.
Tell you
absolutely
what, the
brilliant.
picture you sent of yourself was a sight for sore eyes.
Darts on the radio, by the way, absolute winner. Been listening to that on my travels.
It really does work. If you haven't tried it, get the Talksport app. Best way to swipe between Talksport and Talksport 2. Live on Talksport tonight, we've got Arsenal at home to Ipswich. And here on Talksport 2, it's still 0-0. We play 25 minutes at the Amex. Matoma scooting towards the penalty area. Pedro tried to let it run across his body, couldn't do that, and then Veltman's gone diving in on Schade. Again, that's probably a yellow card offence. The referee not going to show a card.
Yeah, very lenient, isn't he, so far? That's now 3 potential yellow cards for players. Just let it go, Andy Madley.
You're listening to Brighton against Brentford on Talksport 2 with Sky Sports. Don't forget you can stream the biggest Premier League games available with no contract on Now. Search Now Sports. And a decent game for a 0-0. Finished goalless actually when these two last met at the Amex in April. Sorry, at the GTEC back in April. Here's Schade down by the left corner flag. Veltman with a strong challenge, but made sure he got the ball and then played it against Schade for a goal kick.
Absolutely wired into him, didn't he, Veltman? Clattered into Schade, who has taken it. No response. Fair play.
And he certainly doesn't mind the combative side of the game, Joel Veltman. Very placid fella off the pitch, actually.
He's one of those, is he?
Van Hecker forward to João Pedro. Ben Mee this time with the challenge from behind. João Pedro goes down, but Brighton is still coming forward with O'Reilly. João Pedro out of the game at this moment in time as O'Reilly's cross into the area is cleared. Then Johan Wissa tries to bring it forward for Brentford. 0-0 here at the Amex. João Pedro miraculously is back on his feet. Strange that.
Was hoping for the free kick. It's a shame for him that he was out of the game for that counter-attack. Brentford struggled in terms of their counter-attacks when they turned over possession.
Here's Matoma running at speed into the penalty area, looking at João Pedro with a little poke pass, but straight into the arms of Flecken. He's not been quite the force this season, Matoma, that maybe he has been in recent campaigns, but he started lively enough tonight, hasn't he?
Yeah, just took a deflection. That attempted outside of the right-footed cross towards João Pedro just bounced off Collins' knee and away from the Brazilian. But you're right, for the talents that he has, you almost think every game he should be influencing from that left-hand side. And sometimes I think he complicates things when he doesn't need to, Matoma.
João Pedro is guilty of that at times as well, of overplaying maybe. He is playing as the number 9. João Pedro, but it's almost a front 4, isn't it? If you look across the line, you've got Matoma on the left, Gruner on this right-hand side, and Ciso and João Pedro in the middle. Very attacking team sent out by Fabian Hürzeler. Goals have been an issue in recent weeks. They had more than enough chances, didn't they, in the second half at West Ham to win that game on Saturday. We were there.
Yeah, and they have already tonight. It's about being clinical, isn't it, with those chances. The build-up's terrific at times, and then either it is an extra pass that doesn't need to be there, or a chance to shoot that's not taken, or slightly overcomplicated with the delivery.
Boomo playing it forward for Brentford, but too much weight on that, and Bart Verbruggen, part of the Dutch side that lost to England in the semis of the Euros in the summer, just rolls the ball towards the penalty spot inside the 18-yard box away to our left. Brighton back in action on Monday night. They go to Aston Villa. We've got a packed Sunday in the Premier League. Stay tuned to Talksport. Lots of live commentaries from both the Premier League and the EFL this weekend. Here's Enciso forward to Matoma. He's in behind. Matoma cuts the cross back, and it's booted clear by the legs of Flecken at his near post.
Yeah, decent goalkeeping again from Mark Flecken.
He's
Big
certainly
deflection.
been the busier of the two, hasn't he?
He's been busy all season, especially away from home, Mark Flecken. But he did really well to adjust his body there and get the ball away with his feet.
He was just holding his groin after making that save, so we'll keep an eye on that. I mentioned already that Thomas Frank has been bemoaning the sheer volume of injuries that Brentford have picked up in recent weeks. It's the same for a lot of teams in the Premier League. Here's Matoma, left-hand side for Brighton, 10 yards inside the Brentford half. It's 0-0 with half an hour gone on Talksport 2. And that's a big diagonal out to the right-hand side, brought down on the chest by Gruder Into the area he goes, cuts it back for Enciso, and he had a lot of time there to pick out his spot, and he side-footed it well wide. Nobody should have done better.
Everything has fell to him, hasn't it, so far? Enciso, great opportunity. What a wonderful crossfield pass from Dunk to Gruda. And then as he just waits and cuts inside, he just lays it right onto the edge of the area for Enciso to make the attempt, and it's a really poor attempt. He just pulls it horribly wide rather than striking through the ball.
Well, I mentioned that Mark Flecken was holding his groin after making that save. He's down now inside the penalty area receiving treatment. Brighton players, Lewis Dunk, their captain, amongst them, are taking the opportunity to get a drink on board, but this would be a real blow for Thomas Frank and for Brentford.
It would, just as he had to adjust because of that deflection, he then had to stretch that right leg out and flick the ball away in one movement. You see him grab his top of his groin straight away.
Doesn't look at all comfortable, does he, Flecken? As you mentioned already, he's certainly seen plenty of action over the course of the season, and so too tonight.
Yeah, I don't think this is time wasting, that's for sure, as I think we've seen quite a few times over recent weeks with goalkeepers going down so that the manager can get some instructions to his side. He does look in a little bit of discomfort, and this would be a big blow for Brentford.
Well, he's back on his feet now, Flecken. Looks like he's going to try and continue. No obvious sign of a backup being readied on the bench, so that's good news for Thomas Frank. There are quite a few subs from both teams warming up away to our left. But I think I just saw the physio give the thumbs up to Thomas Frank, and Flecken will be okay to continue.
And also you hope that it's not really affected his kicking, because that has been a weapon so far for Brentford in this game, the way he's been able to hit Sharda and Mbeumo on the diagonal.
Yeah, 14 minutes to go in the first half, 0-0. Flecken doesn't show any obvious signs of discomfort there as he plays the goal kick, but Brighton have a throw well inside the Brentford half on this near side, the right, as we look low down at the Amex. Gruda skips away from one challenge, then lays it off to Enciso. Took too long to get the ball out from under his studs, and Norgard able to poke it clear. And Mbeumo's had to do a lot of work well inside his own half so far, not really where Brentford want him to pick up possession. He's got it now down the right hand side, but again still inside Brentford territory, and it's cleared out for a throw by Matoma. 0-0.
But he's got such an unselfish work ethic, Mbeumo, that he wants to help his side out, and he needs to, with Estupiñán drifting into dangerous positions. And you just think so far everything that's landed at Enciso's feet, and he just looks a little bit match rusty, doesn't he, in terms of those key moments.
Long ball upfield looking for Sharda, but Verbruggen had a good starting position. All in red, the Brighton goalkeeper comes out and collects on the edge of the area, bowls it out short to the headband wearing Van Hecker, and then Belieber goes all the way back to Verbruggen. 0-0, and we've got 12 minutes of the first half to play on Talksport 2 there. 10 minutes there or thereabouts away from kick-off over on Talksport. Arsenal Ipswich is live and exclusive as Matoma runs the ball out of play and concedes a throw-in 10 yards inside his own half. Brentford have conceded more goals than any team in the Premier League from open play this season. They've had a couple of near misses. Flecken's been busy, and Enciso hit the post very early on, but they did, for those of you just joining us on Talksport 2, have the ball in the back of the net through Wissat, ruled out for the narrowest of offside calls following a VAR check. Lewis Potter with a raking pass out to the right, looking for Mbeumo, but Estupiñán there first, and looks to release Enciso. Good challenge going in by the right back Roerslev, and it's out for a throw.
Well, and you just think, because of that disallowed goal, it makes it feel like Brentford are right in the game. They're not really. They haven't had an attempt, because that's been taken off. They haven't had an attempt on goal, whereas Mark Flecken's gone down.
Yeah, and this doesn't look at all good now from a Brentford perspective, and they do have a substitute ready. Valdemarsson will be coming on. I just saw him actually to our right, getting his tracksuit off, getting the gloves ready, and I think Thomas Frank told Mark Flecken to go down. How big a blow is this, Dean Ashton?
I think it's always a blow when you're taking off your number one goalkeeper, not only for the manager but the two centre-backs. Is always key to have that relationship with your number one goalkeeper, and obviously for Valdemarsson to come on a nice chilly evening. It's not like he did a big warm-up. I watched him, he barely did anything. So he's in and got to get going straight away.
Yeah, big pressure on the Brentford substitute. Mark Flecken able to walk off the pitch. That maybe is a positive sign moving forward. But he shakes his head as he gets a high five from Thomas Frank. He heads straight down the tunnel. And of course, so many games coming thick and fast at this time of year. And well, what pressure on the substitute goalkeeper, Dean Ashton.
It will be, and it's just those first moments. If you're Brighton, you go, right, can we get a couple of attempts at the goalkeeper? Can we pressurise him when the ball's at his feet? Can we just make it difficult for him to settle in the next couple of minutes?
Well, they've got 10 minutes of the half to play. I guess they'll be trying to offer as much protection as possible, Brentford, to their sub-goalkeeper. On the positive side for Mark Flecken, that does go down as only his second clean sheet of the season in the Premier League. And he'll say he earns it with a couple of the saves that he's made in this first half. Valdemarsson, big in stature in front of those travelling Brentford fans. He'll get plenty of vocal encouragement from them as well for the rest of this first half, which remains goalless on Talksport 2. But the injury to Flecken, probably the big moment in the half so far. Valdemarsson coming on for his first Premier League appearance of the season. The Icelander, he's played 2 cup games. Here's Gruder, looking to test him straight away, tried to roll it forward to João Pedro. Clearance almost broke for him, and Ciso inside the box, but they've got it clear as far as Veltman on this right hand side, Brentford. And then Van Hecke plays it out to Matoma down the left. 0-0. And it's Matoma inside the penalty area for Brighton. And Ciso with a shot from distance. And the first save that Valdemarsson has had to make is a routine one.
But I like it. I like the idea from Ciso. Bit of space outside the area. Let's test the goalkeeper. Sadly, you've just given him a gift to deal with.
Well, the Brentford fans are singing the name of their emergency goalkeeper. As Van Hecke carries the ball slowly over halfway. 0-0, we play 38 minutes. Forward to Believe, a little poke from him out to the left to Enciso. Thinks he was fouled by Norgard. The referee initially wanted to play an advantage, then pulled it back, realising there wasn't one. It's going to be a free kick around about midway inside the Brighton half.
He played a key role though, Norgard, in that previous attack when it was deflected towards Enciso. Again, he's not just watching, he's looking for danger, just slotted in between the two centre-backs and cut the ball out.
Would they have hoped to create more chances given the amount of possession they've had, Brighton, in this first half?
No, I think they should have scored with what they've produced, and ultimately it's then down to the players to put those chances away.
João Pedro forward into the area. O'Reilly tries to backheel it back to him, comes for Enciso. He looks desperate for a goal tonight, doesn't he? Left-footed swipe at the ball, half volley, well wide.
It's just incredible, isn't it, how everything that has fallen for Brighton has fallen to Enciso. This time, edge of the box, not a difficult skill at all on the volley, just cuts right across it, shanks it horribly wide. If I was him, get those boots changed at half-time. It's bound to be them, not you as a player. Boos from the Brighton fans because they feel like Valdemarsson is wasting time over this goal kick.
In the end, he launches it to the halfway line. Schade flicks it on. Wisser with a back header towards his own half, won by Gruder ahead of JanElt. And then O'Reilly with those socks rolled down. The summer signing from Celtic plays it back to Bart Verbruggen. Does yoga in his spare time. Matt O'Reilly has a life coach as well. Try and keep him in the best possible mental shape for the rigours of Premier League football. He had to wait actually for his league debut after falling victim to a crude challenge here in an early League Cup game. Here's Wisser into the penalty area. Tries to get the ball in his right, shot blocked by Veltman. And then Schade completely took Veltman out of the game, and the referee's going to play on because Brighton have the ball and are coming forward. Wouldn't be surprised if they come back and show a yellow card there. Here's Gruder into the area, onto his right foot. Lewis Potter sticks to the task. O'Reilly chips the ball towards the far post. It's picked up by Enciso in the area. Enciso with a cross, headed away. Veltman, who's still limping, just dabs it forward to Gruder. And again, they probably overplayed it there, Brighton, and Brentford will get it clear.
Yeah, they've got so many bodies back there, Brentford. They're just doing enough at the moment to hold Brighton off.
Well, here's Damsgaard looking to make a shooting chance for himself. He carried the ball a long way to the edge of the area, had to evade a couple of challenges. And then was stopped in his tracks eventually, and here are Brighton at the other end. Gruder in the area, cuts it back for O'Reilly, urged to shoot by the Brighton fans, does so, left-footed towards the top corner, took a deflection, and it's going to be a corner for the home side.
Well, again, an opportunity for Gruder to get out of his feet and shoot. He doesn't, he jinks too many times, gets crowded out, eventually finds O'Reilly 35 yards out. He takes a touch out of his feet, looks to strike, flicks off Ben Mee's head, and just goes away from the Brentford goal. So much good build-up without that clinical edge yet for Brighton.
Just wait for this corner to be swung in. 4 minutes and a half to play. Goalless on Talksport 2. Home fans in fine voice as O'Reilly stands over the set piece on this near side, the right. Lewis Dunk, always a threat in the air, has come forward, so too Van Hecke. In fact, Verbruggen is the only player inside the Brighton half. Brentford have got everybody back inside their own 18-yard box.
Yeah, which they have done for most of the game. When Brighton have got possession, they're pinning them in. It's only really when Brentford goalkeeper has the ball and Brentford can push forwards that they look a threat from those long balls forward.
The referee is taking a long time for this corner kick to be allowed to come in.
Well, he's having to tell the children off. I think we've all done that over the last few days.
Yeah, we certainly have. O'Reilly, good ball in, flicks off Van Hecke. Matoma on the volley, brilliant hit, and it's hit the stanchion behind the goal. Half the crowd thought that was in the back of the net. Wonderful technique.
Technique lovely, timing beautiful, direction just slightly off. It was brilliantly hit from Karamatoma with his left foot, just a fraction wide. But of course, anyone sat on this side of the stadium, it looked in.
It's currently Brighton 0, Brentford 0. For the latest odds, head to William Hill, the official betting partner of Talksport 2's Premier League coverage. Right now, Brighton 8-15 to win, Brentford 9-2 for the victory. The draw is 16-5. That's all thanks to William Hill, 18+, begambleaware.org. Wisser on the left for Brentford, tries to pull the ball back for Norgard, but Enciso alert to the danger, and O'Reilly on the edge of his own penalty area knocks it back for Verbruggen. Only a couple of minutes left in the first half here. Brentford have lost their goalkeeper, but at the moment their clean sheet is intact.
Just look at the way Brentford attack. It's very frantic. It's almost 2 or 3 passes and either we're in or we're not, and there's a lot more patience obviously when they're at home. And again, maybe that's part of their poor away form, is maybe being a little bit tense when they go forwards.
The type of game we've seen a few times involving Brighton this season, though, where they kind of need to score when they're in the ascendancy. Remember the 0-0 draw against Ipswich. They absolutely battered Ipswich in the first half, and very quickly ran out of ideas and never really looked like scoring in the second. Fabian Hürzeler keen to guard against that tonight, no doubt. Here's O'Reilly down the right for Brighton, just outside the box, rolls it back for Veltman. Veltman back to O'Reilly, and now Gruda in bright pink boots. Gruda into the feet of O'Reilly, who gives it back to Veltman, and then across from Van Hecker of all people is nodded away by Rorslev, and then Lewis Dunk chips it forward to Estupiñán. 5 minutes of added time indicate at the end of this first half. 0-0. Matoma with the low ball into the area, collected by the sub-goalkeeper Valdemarsen.
And you're right, it starts to go stale, doesn't it? Once they get into those positions and they don't do things nice and quick with the movement and the interplay, they get a bit stuck. A couple of times now it's come back towards Van Hecker. He's then tossed it in towards the penalty area without much quality. Probably not going to score from that. It's got to be done early. It's got to be done with quality and pace. That's when they look dangerous, Brighton.
They've just got underway over on Talksport. Arsenal against Ipswich. Sam Matterface and Alan Pardew calling the action there. We've played just about a minute of the 5 added on, 0-0 between Brighton and Brentford. Live on Talksport 2 with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Enterprise has vans of all shapes and sizes. If you've got a plan, they've got a van. I wonder what plan Fabian Hürzeler will come up with to break this stubborn Brentford rearguard in the second half. At the moment they've got a throw in to defend. Kevin Schade on this near side, who has a long throw in his armour, as we've seen already tonight. Nodded clear by Veltman at the near post. Picked up by Mads Roreslev, midway inside Brighton territory. Flicked on by Collins, but he was in an offside position. It's going to be a free kick for Brighton on the edge of the box.
Well, that would really annoy me if I was Collins and Ben Mee, because you go up for the long throw and then Schade half pretends like he doesn't want to take it and then rushed it and didn't actually launch it very far into the penalty area. That, to me, you'd be getting a mouthful from your teammate because of that. It's just, if you're going to set it up, do it properly. Give yourselves an opportunity from those set plays, because they've struggled to really create that much, Brentford.
Yeah, really, their only attack resulted in Wissa putting the ball in the back of the net and it being ruled out for offside. Apart from that, I think Verbruggen has been a spectator. Just that similar story of frustration for Fabian Hürzeler over these 5 winless games. Plenty of the ball, dominating opponent at times, but unable to stick it in the back of the net. They're actually 2 points worse off, Brighton, by the way, than they were this time last season under Roberto De Zerbi. Here's O'Reilly, right corner of the penalty area, robbed of possession by Mee, clears it upfield. Van Hecker under pressure from Wissa, heads the ball down to his fellow centre-back and the captain Dunk, and here is Estupiñán right on halfway for Brighton. Even the crowd need to be re-engaged, you feel. Enciso crosses from the right, deep into the area, but well taken by Valdemarsen, the Icelandic goalkeeper, who had to come on after Fleckham was injured making a save at his near post for his first Premier League appearance of the season.
Yeah, he's been given a nice little warm-up, hasn't he, by the Brighton players. A couple of crosses to come and claim. An easy shot from Enciso just to gather.
Foul by Wissa on Van Hecker, as Valdemarsen looked to go long from the ball out from his gloves. Now his opposite number, Verbruggen, just rolls his studs over the top of the ball. We've played 3.5 minutes of the time added on. It's 0-0. Verbruggen's turn to go long and pick out his opposite number. The 2 goalkeepers just exchanging passes at the moment. The leg for the field.
Oh, he got a look there, didn't he, from Hürzeler right in front of us. Just turned and just stared at Verbruggen.
I think he'll be frustrated, Hürzeler.
He'll be frustrated, but at the same time really pleased with what they've created. So he'll be frustrated they haven't been clinical and got the advantage that maybe their play deserves, but he can't be too dismissed with the way that they've played.
The U's and the R's there are because Valdemarsen was playing around with possession inside his own area, closed down by João Pedro, but managed to keep the ball. This time he goes out to the right hand side, well brought down by Roreslev on the chest, and he's released Mbeumo. Two try him out in the centre against two Brighton centre-backs, and Mbeumo into the area, left-footed effort across the face of goal and wide. We've seen him score those this season.
We have. That's his first look, isn't it? Brian Mbeumo. It was Estupinian that went out of position, went to win it, didn't from Ruslev, who then played in. Mbeumo, he does exactly what he wants, which is get Lewis Dunk isolated, cuts inside on his left foot, looking for the far corner. It's probably 5 or 6 yards wide though.
Don't forget Weekend Sports Breakfast back tomorrow. Natalie Sawyer and Tony Cascarino dissecting all of the Boxing Day and December the 27th action. We had some brilliant stories, didn't we, in the Premier League yesterday. This one is bubbling under nicely as the half-time whistle blows. Brentford had the ball in the back of the net. Johan Wissa was a brilliant finish into the far corner, ruled out after VAR, correctly in our opinion spotted that Wissa was just the wrong side of Van Hecker, the last of the Brighton back line, and Ciso hit a post early on. Mark Flecken, the Brentford goalkeeper, injured, making a save. But overall, Dean Ashton, it's been a familiar story for Brighton in recent weeks. They dominate the game, but they're not able to score.
Yeah, the build-up play has been terrific. Some lovely interplay, 1 and 2 touch passing. Matoma with a couple of wonderful touches and bits of flair. But everything's fell to Enciso, who looks just slightly out of practice, doesn't he? He looks like he's not quite as sharp as he was before those injuries. He hasn't played a huge amount this season also, and he hasn't been able to take advantage of what have been a couple of really good chances and a couple of good saves from Mark Flecken before he went off. As for Brentford, it's a bit of a throwback. It's get it forwards, win the flick on, and then get in behind if you can. But when it doesn't come off, it looks pretty stale from their perspective.
You mentioned it a couple of times in commentary, but most of the chances that Brighton have had seem to have fallen to Julio Enciso. Is he trying too hard? Is he ring rusty, or a combination of the two?
Yeah, a combination. Of course, he's anxious to get off the mark. He's anxious to prove to his manager that he deserves to start games, and you do that by that end product. And ultimately, a couple of times he's just misguided chances towards the goalkeeper rather than the corners. And then a couple of times he's just mishit. Got to keep going, got to believe that you're going to take one of those chances, got to keep getting in good areas, which he has done so far.
And surely the message from Fabian Hertzler at half-time to his Brighton players is you've got to test this rookie goalkeeper in the second half.
Yeah, definitely. See what he's made of. Make sure that... I think, look, you keep doing what you're doing. You're playing well. You've had 15 shots and 6 on target compared to Brentford's 2 and none. You're playing well. You've got to try and still believe. What you can't do is, what we've seen a few times with Brighton, is let it affect you to the point where it slows your play down, you stop creating those chances, and you let the opposition in for an easy ride towards the end of the game. They've done that too often.
0-0 over on Talksport, early stages of Arsenal against Ipswich. 0-0 here at the break as well. Work to do for Brighton if they're to get back on the winning groove in the second half. Half-time at the Amex. It is Brighton 0, Brentford 0.
Game day exclusive on Talksport 2 with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Enterprise has vans of all shapes and sizes, so if you've got a plan, we've got a van.
Sack the gaffer. You need thesun.co.uk. Bagged a big move? Check out thesun.co.uk.
Oh, come on, Ralph!
Never a pen? Read thesun.co.uk. Seen red? See thesun.co.uk. Whatever's going on in the game, whenever you want it, wherever you are, from goals to gossip and everything football, it's got to be thesun.co.uk.
You don't just check in to a village hotel, you work out. You jump in, you play on, you tuck in, and drink up. Village Hotels, 33 locations with everything under one roof. A huge gym with pool and great membership opportunities, and a buzzing pub and grill with delicious food, ice-cold beers, and live sport. Check out villagehotels.com and work out, stay, meet, and play.
The Screwfix sale is now on, and it's big! Save a big £15 on the Gold Screw Trade Pack, now only $19.99. And grab the Stanley Organizer for just $9.99, saving you a big £10. Hurry, the sale must end on the 5th of January. It's big. Delivery fees may apply, subject to availability. See screwfix.com for full T's and C's.
Psst, did you know you can order McDelivery deals? Like the Feed the Family deal for just $14.99. That's 4 selected burgers, 2 medium fries and 2 small fries. Who's in then?
Oh, yeah, me.
And me. McDelivery. You in? Delivery only from 11 a.m. 4 times selected burgers, 4 times selected fries. Subject to availability. Price, delivery fee and participation may vary.
You could skydive out of a plane. Or swim with sharks. You might even skinny dip in icy cold waters. Or you could get that inexpressible high. That guaranteed rush from finding just the thing you wanted. The thing you needed. At a great sale price. Winter sale ends soon. IKEA, the wonderful everyday.
We all fantasize about our perfect home. Sipping a morning coffee out on the terrace. Good morning, Mr. Squirrel.
Morning.
The kids building a treehouse in the garden.
I'm living my perfect childhood.
But come on, this isn't real. Listen, if you're serious about making your fantasy a reality, find out what your home is worth instantly with a free online valuation estimate. Get real about moving. Get on the market. Most common time to obtain an online quote between 1st of April 2024 and 30th of June 2024 was under 3 minutes. Excludes Northern Ireland.
Game day exclusive on Talksport 2 with Sky Sports. Stream more Sky Sports football than ever before. Available with no contract on now. 18 plus, stream via internet, terms apply.
Exclusive commentary of massive Friday night games.
And it's got in! Would you believe it?
The biggest and best football on the radio. Game night on Talksport 2.
You are listening to Talksport 2, half-time at the Amex. Brighton 0, Brentford 0. When we're finished here after the second half, we'll be hot-footing it to Ali Pali, where our live coverage of the World Darts Championship continues. Let's get a flavour of the action with your commentary team, Paul Nicholson and Chris Mason.
Thanks, Alex. Yes, the last time we spoke to you, it was around about the time where Gerwyn Price was going 2-0 up against Joe Cullen. Since then, Price took a 3-0 lead, but now it is 3 sets all. Joe Cullen has won the last 3 sets by 3-1, with a lot of interaction with the crowd, and we are now into a final set decider, Mace.
Yeah, and he was averaging 100 to go to 3-0. He's on a 140 finish here. It's 3 sets all, and he has found a 140 finish to lead 1-0 and break throw. Yeah, but from 3-0 up, his averages have just tumbled. I don't think he's averaged over 90 in a set since being 3 sets to the good.
And miraculously, that is the first ton-plus finish of this entire game. Every set we've had has either been 3-2 or 3-1. Nobody is thoroughly dominating the sets. But this is very similar to a game we had this afternoon with Daryl Gurney and Johnny Clayton, the teammate in the World Cup of Gezi Price. And Price is looking to do exactly what Johnny did this afternoon, funnily enough, to set up a game in the next round against Johnny Clayton.
Yeah, he led 3-0, very similar to how Price has got himself to 3-0 here. And then again, it was like a mini capitulation, but I'm concerned for Price. He plays like a man. He was 3-0 up cruising and then starts to play like a man who's defending or chasing.
You do have to win by 2 clear legs in the last set here, but at the culmination of this one, we've got Jermaine Watermina, who is the fancy player, up against the 2-time world champion in Peter Wright. Your thoughts on that one quickly?
Yeah, it's a tough game for Peter Wright. His form is, it's out there, isn't it? He's averaging in the 80s the majority of the time nowadays. Watermina just beating him 6-0 in the European Championships, averaging 98 to beat Belmont, and then 99-1-7 to beat a very good Wade. Jermaine Watermina yet to drop a set.
We've also got Luke Humphries up against Nick Kenny a little bit later on, because the world champion who played on the opening night and taking care of Thibaut Tricol of France quite simply by 3-0. He's back post-Christmas, and he's got a tricky customer in Nick Kenny to come, but what have we got here?
I think he's going to put down a marker tonight, Luke Humphries. I think all the chat's been about everybody else. Joe Cullen misses double 16 to level things up in the final set. 119 for Price. Treble 19's found. 62 remaining. Big 12 to leave the ball for 2-0.
Hasn't found it.
He hasn't found 2 legs in a set since set 3.
It really does have the feel of a tiebreaker already. It's only the second leg of the final set. Joe Cullen needs double 8. Slightly left on the first start. The adjustment's not there. He's missed it left, then right. Price has a chance to double his lead at the start of this set. 39 points. He's going to go 15 for double 12. Loves double 12. Probably more than anybody in world darts. Doesn't right now. He's missed it low. Double 6.
Don't think he likes any double, Nico. He's had 45 darts at a double. He's only hit 13. This is a disaster for Price.
Joe Cullen on double 4. Recognised as one of the best hitters on double 4, but he's missed it twice. But the third dart registers, and now Joe starts to empty the emotional tank.
Well, when he actually picked up his first set, it was right on a commercial break, and he walked directly towards us, and he was adamant, looking to his friends and family, fist clenched. I can do this. Well, he's as good as his word so far, because it's 3 sets all, 1 leg apiece. Cullen has the throw, but remember, you've got to win this by 2 clear until we get to 5-5 in legs.
Averages are almost identical, 92 and change. Price has 12 maximums, Cullen has 5. But it's all about the doubles. 37% for Cullen. Price has missed a grand total of 32 darts at a double, most of them with the crowd chanting against him.
Yeah, key moments too, and credit to Cullen in some legs that he could have been cut adrift, but he could have been cut adrift in the match, and he's just been hanging tight. But he's got control of this leg. 2-1-8 Cullen. Pricey with the 140 takes him down to 2-4-3. This 3-3 in sets, 1-1 in legs. It couldn't be any more tense here.
Yeah, it's tough on the countries in the UK that aren't England. They've got to send their players here and be up against a vastly English crowd. Price gets it every year. Maybe some other Welsh players don't get it as much.
59.
Johnny Clayton doesn't because he's so friendly. But 78 for Cullen. It's 1-1 in the final set. Single 18's good. He's got 1 dart at tops for a 2-1 lead. And that was to hold throw. He's got time though.
Yeah, I know what Gezi be thinking. All right, you miss now and I'm not on a finish. 2 trouble. He's going to fill it, isn't he? Very nearly. Left 44 just in case, but can't see Joe missing.
To get within 1 leg of the match, Cullen hits double 10. He's been through some thrillers on the stage over the years. He's taken out Johnny Clayton at this level of the World Championship before in a last leg decider in 7 sets. But he's also had his heart smashed on this stage on the 30th of December in 2023 by the eventual champion Luke Humphries. Cullen wins this leg, he wins the match. If Price wins this leg, we go to the tie-break situation.
Yeah, he started with 140, but single 20, single 19. 56. Tries for the switch on the 17 without success. 305 Price. Cullen at the hockey from 441. Single 20, treble 19, stays there. Picks up a second treble 19, down to 307. Nothing in it.
Just goes to show how close this game is on Talksport 2, because
98.
Nobody has had a match dart.
No.
Not Cullen, not Price. This is set number 7. Price, after being 3-0 up, did not get a match dart in sets 4, 5 and 6. He hasn't had one in this set yet. He may just lose the match. 2 treble 20s and a single 17. That's okay. He's on 70 now with Cullen back on 226, about to mount an attack.
Yeah, this is where Cullen's been great on the approach play. 96. And he's hit 96 to leave 130. Most players practice the 130 outs. Will he get a go? Single 20 needed for Price. Tops to potentially stay in it.
With a dart in the way, he hits the wall.
He's just lost. Once he started missing doubles, he's lost all belief that he can hit them.
Are we about to see the first match dart? It may even be hit to win the game. Cullen, 60 hit, and another double 5 to win it. The match dart from Cullen is missed, and Price can survive on double that, on double 10, and he hits it. Tie-break situation here in North London. It's 2-2 and 3 sets all. We're going to go back to Alex Group, where we will let you know what happens here. Back to Brentford Brighton.
Cheers, guys. There is dramatic stuff at the Alexandra Palace. We'll be back there live after we've had the second half here at the Amex. No sign of the two sets of players coming back out on the pitch yet. 0-0 the score. Dean Ashton, would you anticipate any half-time changes?
Probably not. I would expect Hurtler to give those players a little bit more time because of what they've already created in the half. But then he has got a nice look to his substitutes bench, hasn't he? With Ruter, Ayari, Adingra, Solly March. Might get some minutes and Minter. And as for Brentford, ultimately at the moment they're happy. They're away from home, clean sheet. Can they develop though their attacking play a little bit more? Can they get a few more opportunities? Can they build rather than just whacking and hoping for the flick on? Need to do a little bit more in possession to Brentford.
Well, the two sets of players are back out there. The Brentford team out a good minute or so before their Brighton counterparts. Interestingly to see Vladimir Marston, the sub-goalkeeper, who had to come on midway through the first half when Flecken was injured, bouncing the ball around, having a couple of keepy-ups as well, just getting a feel of it really, isn't he?
I mean, look, he'll be excited. It's a great opportunity. He won't know, obviously, the extent of the injury. To him, this is a half of football to shine, to help his side get a valuable clean sheet away from home. He looks like somebody that's excited with the opportunity that he's got. Let's hope it can end that way for him and that Brighton don't expose maybe some frailties or some nerves.
Well, we are just about ready for the restart here on Talksport 2. Brighton 0, Brentford 0. Same scoreline over on Talksport. They're not long underway between Arsenal and Ipswich, but we are back off and running. Matt O'Reilly gets us restarted. Brighton in their blue and white striped jerseys, blue shorts and white socks, shooting from right to left in the first half. Brentford in their largely dark green strip with the yellow socks attacking the goal away to our right. No change in personnel as Dean Ashton predicted. So Brighton have Verbruggen in goal, Veltman, Van Hecke, Dunk and Estupiñán the back four, Baliba and O'Reilly in midfield with Gruder, Enciso and Matoma in behind João Pedro up front for Brentford. Valdemarsson is the goalkeeper. Flecken forced off in the first half. And Valdemarsson with some work to do as the ball is not back to him, clears it away under pressure from João Pedro. To back four of Rorslev, Collins, Mee and Lewis Potter, Janelt, Norgard and Damsgaard in midfield, Schade, Wissa and Mbumo in attack. 0-0, and we've played around about a minute of the second half, Dean, as the fog seems to get worse.
Yeah, it's just dropped a couple of degrees as well, hasn't it? And as we talked about in the first half, Brian Mbeumo on this side, I'm sure he wants to attack a lot more than he has done. He can't help but constantly check his shoulder to where Estupiñán is, doing his defensive duties, as I'm sure he's being asked to do by his manager.
Yeah, you're right about the temperature dropping actually. Very chilly evening now in Sussex. These Brighton fans, there's a bit of a lull descends around the stadium. I think need something to get them off their seats, something to warm themselves up. Did I hear one of the local media guys tell you it could have been 8-0 at half-time?
Yes.
I'm not entirely convinced that that's the case, but they were dominant, Brighton. Here's Matoma, forward to João Pedro. Well defended by Mee. Don't keep many clean sheets, Brentford, particularly away from home. They'd be happy, I think, to get back on the bus with that intact. Goal at the Emirates over on Talksport. No surprise, Arsenal lead Ipswich 1-0. Kai Havertz has scored it. João Pedro flicks the ball forward to O'Reilly inside the box. He tries to bring it down, the ex-Celtic man, and then gets underneath the shot and fires it over the bar.
Yeah, decent little headed pass from João Pedro in towards O'Reilly, who just juggled the ball, and as it fell, looked to hit it on the half volley. Just got underneath it and over the top, and it's another sort of half chance that goes by. And João Pedro's the type of player I don't think he wants to be a 9. I don't think he wants to play right up there. I think he'd rather be involved and have that physical battle that being a 9 can bring.
João Pedro tries to lay the ball off for Gruder, and Gruder was taken down rather crudely, so it's going to be a free kick for Brighton, 15 yards inside the Brentford half of the field. It's 0-0. Lewis Dunk forward to Estupiñán on this near touchline. Matoma rolls the ball into the feet of Enciso, low centre of gravity. Enciso finds O'Reilly, switches the play out to the right to Gruder. They've done well here, Brighton, to work the space. Gruder back to O'Reilly, urged to shoot by the Brighton fans, probably should have done. Instead he opted to pick out Lewis Dunk, and he's blazed the ball, the big defender, high over the bar. 0-0.
Yeah, he went into more of a challenge there, Lewis Dunk, than actually trying to shoot towards goal. Frustration again for the Brighton supporters because they get into a great area. Gruder passes it to the edge of the box. It should be hit. It's another extra pass that doesn't need to be there from O'Reilly to Belieber. It's then intercepted, and that's the frustration that they have, is those openings that occur, they're not taken.
5 minutes gone in the second half. You're listening to Talksport 2 live Premier League action from the Amex. Brighton 0, Brentford 0. Arsenal lead Ipswich by a goal to 0 over on Talksport. On Sunday, Tottenham against Wolves is one of a number of commentaries from the Premier League and the EFL on the Talksport network. We've got Manchester United at home to Newcastle on Monday night as well. What can possibly go wrong for Ruben Amorim's side there? They're playing such wonderful football at this moment in time. Here is O'Reilly over on the far right hand side for Brighton, carries the ball into Brentford territory and wins a throw. Tell you what, if this fog gets any worse, Dave, we're going to struggle to see what's going on over on the far side.
Yeah, it's just sort of come up and over the top of that arch stand right the way across from us. Don't think there's an issue for the players at the moment.
I was watching the Welsh Grand National earlier on television, and you literally couldn't see the horses. You know, even the TV cameras usually give you a bit of extra light, don't they, in those circumstances. The commentator did wonderfully well. I wouldn't fancy trying that if the fog got as bad as that here tonight. It was really bad at Liverpool last night, wasn't it, live on Talksport? Liverpool coming from behind to beat Leicester. Arsenal closing that gap as it stands at the top. Here is Belieber, 25 yards from goal. Thought about the shot left-footed, instead he's going to just knock it a few yards to his left for Estupiñán. And then Belieber back to Lewis Dunk inside the Brighton half.
Again, Mbeumo doing his defensive work against Estupiñán, but then when he plays it forward, Damsgaard isn't the athlete you need when you're looking to counter-attack.
Verbruggen's ball is left by Enciso, picked up by Matoma just inside the Brentford half. He's trying to find Gruder on the far side, he couldn't, and visible frustration from Fabian Herzl. He just turned to his bench, the Brighton manager, both arms outstretched. He's not happy.
Well, he won't be happy with unforced errors, with sloppy passes. That's what he won't be happy with. He won't mind if you're trying to create in the right way. If simple things start to go wrong and the frustration builds, we've seen it a couple of times, it can happen to this Brighton side with the inexperience that they have.
Well, I think he came out before the game and said they probably should have 3 more points on the board. I would wager it's more than that. 0-0 at home to Ipswich, 2-0 up here at home to Wolves and drew. That's 4 points before you start. They drew with Southampton at home, having dominated. That's 6 points. Forest at home, although that doesn't look a terrible result now in the context of Forest start to the season, but these are all games, aren't they, that they may regret come the end of the season, because it's so competitive in that race for a European place. Here's Mbeumo on the edge of the area after the referee almost seemed to stop the play there. The ball hit him and he just couldn't get out of the way, and Fabian Herzl is frustrated because, having allowed play to continue, and Mbeumo's been dispossessed on the edge of the box, and now he's decided to bring it back.
Yeah, they're not happy. I mean, he does get right in the way of the first main attack, which maybe allowed a couple of Brighton players to get back into a better position, but still doesn't seem right really once you've let it go to bring it back when it's hit the referee rather than a challenge from the players themselves.
53 on the clock. Brighton 0, Brentford 0. Alex Crook and Dean Ashton, your commentary team. As Gruder feels like he was fouled over on the far side and does win a free kick off Jan Elt. Needs a goal this game, doesn't it?
Oh, it's crying out for it, of course.
You jinxed it before the match.
How did I jinx it?
You told me it was going to be a goal fest.
You said it on air.
Only because you put the idea in my head.
It should have been, and it might still be. It does feel like there needs to be a change for Brighton. I just think João Pedro maybe needs releasing out of that 9 position. Maybe you put Ruter up there. Just a slight change, I think. And Enciso's had his opportunity.
At the moment, this match feels a bit like Christmas Day when you've had your presents and you've had the turkey and the trimmings, and then your granddad falls asleep on the sofa.
And the cheese comes out.
Oh, I couldn't eat any cheese on Christmas Day night, honestly. I've had quite a bit since. But it is drab and dreary at the moment, echoing the conditions at the Amex, 0-0.
But this should be sensed by Brentford. Brentford should sense this and think, actually, now this is an opportunity. The crowd are getting frustrated. They sort of run out of ideas slightly, Brighton. Can we start to mount our own attacks?
Here's Mbeumo poking the ball into the area, looking for the run of Wissa. Again, the goalkeeper for Brighton, Verbruggen, had a very good starting position, bowls it out underarm to Lewis Dunk. Dunk into Enciso, who is very quickly closed down by Collins high up the pitch. Collins carries it forward for Brentford. And then Janelt has found Wissa. He's got the wrong side again, Wissa. And then he just seemed to lose the ball under his studs. The offside flag's up anyway. Free kick for Brighton.
Did not want to shoot with his left foot there, Wissa. Made a nice arcing run. Probably did go a fraction early and was offside, but still in that position, you need to trust yourself as a striker that I can use my weaker foot, hit that towards the far post. Instead, he's looking to pass it, which to me is just not good enough from a forward player in that position down the left-hand side of the penalty area. And Thomas Frank, just a couple of times now, has said, don't just let Brighton play out easily. Let's go and press slightly higher.
Ball forward by Estupiñán. Couldn't find Enciso, and Brentford have very quickly played it back up to the edge of the Brighton area, away to our right, in front of the travelling fans from West London. Here's Mbeumo, near side, rolls the ball forward to Collins. Then Norgard takes over down this right hand side. Damsgaard with a little flicked header, and Mbeumo does well. Janelt continues his run back to Wissa. Brilliant move, shot blocked by Van Hecker. Really good football from Brentford.
Yeah, terrific, and shows they're capable of it. Why do they not want to do that a little bit more? It was a brilliant block from Van Hecker in the end.
Well, maybe this is why, because Brighton are counter-attacking. João Pedro, we really haven't seen enough of tonight. Haven't seen enough of him in recent weeks, actually. And then he, right on cue, cheaply is dispossessed by Mbeumo, and Mbeumo plays it forward. Not sure where he was looking there, and it's collected by Verbruggen.
Well, he was playing it to the first run that Wissa made, and then Wissa stopped. And Mbeumo put his head down and played that ball to where Wissa was running.
João Pedro then tries to get around Ben Mee. He was caught late, and we might see a yellow card here. The referee clearly feels that was a cynical challenge.
Well, Ben Mee can feel a little bit hard done by, that it seems like he's the first one that gets yellow carded when there's been at least 5 others that were probably worse than that.
Yeah, he was quite lenient, wasn't he, in the first half, Andy Madley. He's the jinx, actually, by the way. He took charge of Brentford 0, Brighton 0 in April, so it's the referee's fault, not yours.
Good.
Here's Van Hecker on halfway. Brighton subs warming up to our left. Fabian Hertzler must be contemplating how he can change it, but his forward options are reasonably limited with no Evan Ferguson and no Welbeck available. They've got Jorginho Ruter, their record signing, who could come on maybe. Here's O'Reilly, 20 yards from goal, into João Pedro, and it's a really tame left foot effort straight into the arms of the sub-goalkeeper Valdimarsson.
Yeah, he just let the ball run past him here, the ball from Matoma in towards João Pedro. O'Reilly just fed it back towards João Pedro, and you're right, it was a bobbling effort straight at the goalkeeper when that needed to be crisply struck along the wet, zippy surface.
He's got tremendous attributes, João Pedro. Troy Deeney speaks regularly about those, having played with him as a youngster at Watford, but I just don't feel like he takes games by the scruff of the neck. Certainly hasn't taken this one by it, has he?
No, it's almost like he's just having a bit of a practice, isn't it?
Here's Van Hecke trying to take matters into his own hands, carrying the ball high up the field. Then the cross from the left-hand side towards Matoma, who leaps and heads it high over the crossbar. 0-0.
Well, it was there to be attacked. Gruder just lifted it to the back post. Roslev was rooted to the spot, and Matoma was there just to get up and over the top if he really wanted to power it downwards. Never looked confident though of really doing that.
Let's get an update again from Alexandra Palace. Here's Paul Nicholson.
Well, back at Alexandra Palace, and we have a winner, and his name is Gerwyn Price. He lost 3 consecutive sets, and Joe Cullen took it 170 in the penultimate leg to take us all the way to 5-5, but in the last leg Price wins it with a key shot at double top, and he nicks it 4-3.
So the Iceman is safely through to the round of 16. Gerwyn Price. Seen some big names crash out, haven't we, over the past few days? You were there, Dino, when none of the top players could win. And we've got live commentary from Ali Pali later here on Talksport 2. 0-0 between Brighton and Brentford. We've reached the hour mark, and the second half has been largely a non-event, which is good news for my voice, but not for the Brighton fans. Here's Matoma into the penalty area, pulls it back for Enciso, edge of the box. Oh, that's woeful, absolutely woeful. Looked to pick out João Pedro, he was 6 yards away, and he's knocked it out of touch for a throw.
Yeah, he's just looked off it, hasn't he? Enciso, he's got in some great areas, he's been part of all the main action without having that edge that you need at this level, at the elite level. He just hasn't had it yet. Do you Hurtzler, do you stick with him? Do you trust him? Or do you think actually he needs more time?
Well, Brighton fans frustrated. They feel Brentford taking too long over the throw. Why shouldn't they? This would be a really good away point for them. They might just fancy more. Ball play forward to Mbumo. Well, for a minute, Dean, it looked like he was going to get there ahead of Verbruggen, who slides and knocks it out for a throw.
Well, he did, and then Verbruggen just went in aggressively, didn't he, towards the challenge, and Mbumo thought, nah, I don't want any part of that.
Mbumo, one of the players who might be on a few radars when the transfer window reopens next week. Jim White and myself are going to have a special transfer window podcast available on the Talksport YouTube channel. Keep your eye out for that. Could be a busy January for a number of teams in the Premier League. And I think Thomas Frank has already said that Brentford don't plan on doing any strengthening. They're coming forward down the left hand side with Kevin Schade. He's offside, that's cheap, and it's a free kick, and Thomas Frank is very agitated about that.
Oh, that's boring. That's really boring for the manager when he watches us lazy forwards not look across the line. I've been there, it's a horrible feeling.
Here's Enciso running with the ball towards the penalty area, plays it to his right hand side. Gruder chips it on, and it's collected by the goalkeeper Flecken, and you can hear the groans of frustration. I think he's actually had a better game tonight, Gruder, than he did at the weekend.
Yeah, he does. He's looked bright and creative, but trying to do too much, as have all the Brighton side. It's all really intricate. If it comes off, it's going to be magnificent, and we're going to laud the play building up to the goal, but it becomes frustrating. You can really sense it with the home supporters.
Wisser has got there ahead of O'Reilly on halfway, and here he comes into the Brighton half. Schade to his left, and he's got a bit of space, the German. Good ball from Wisser. Schade's going to run at Veltman, and Mbumo has peeled away to the edge of the area, and Schade runs into Gruder and wins a corner. Looked like for a moment there could have been more on there for Brentford.
Yeah, a couple of times they've had some good moments, Brentford, on the break, without really looking like they're going to create an opportunity at the end of it. I think they've just got to have a bit more belief, this Brentford side. I think there's something for them with Brighton starting to struggle.
63 minutes gone, Brighton 0, Brentford 0, 0.17 Brentford's expected goals. Brighton's isn't much better, 0.97. No surprise it's goalless. 1-0 Arsenal lead against Ipswich over on Talksport. They only got underway at 8:15 there. Corner from Brentford, played into the centre. Ben Mee with the target, but headed well away by Van Hecke. Here's Mads Roerslev, chips it out to the right hand side. and nodded on by Collins, who was still forward from the previous corner. But Brighton clear the danger. Matoma with the opportunity to bring it forward. He's shown too much of it to Mbeumo though on the edge of the area, and as he tried to knock it into the path of Schade, it just hit Lewis Duncan. That averted the danger temporarily. Here's Damsgaard though, left edge of the box, cuts it back for Lewis Potter. Plenty forward here if Brentford can find the right delivery. Jan out with the ball in, headed away again by Van Hecke, and then an acrobatic effort from Norgard, who flicked it up to himself, volleyed it right-footed, and it must have taken a nick off a blue and white shirt, and it's behind for a corner.
Yeah, really inventive from Norgard. Just took it on the chest and then did a Di Canio-style scissor kick towards goal. The deflection actually, I think, made it more difficult for Brugge. I think otherwise it would have been a simple save.
I think it was Van Hecke who it hit, and Verbruggen was scampering down to his right, but it was always going wide of the post. I think Yankuba Minte is about to come on, and maybe Ruter as well. Brighton going to their bench. Tariq Lamptey looks like he could be getting ready. Maybe a triple change as the ball comes into the area from the corner. There were plenty of Brentford players to attack it, but it goes all the way through, I think, off Lewis Potter into the arms of Verbruggen.
Yeah, it just needs a touch, doesn't it? This was flashed really low in front of the goalkeeper. Lewis Potter just misses it. It was Damsgaard with the whipped cross from the left-hand side, in swinging towards Verbruggen. If Lewis Potter gets a touch, it's a goal.
Tayari, actually, the third Brighton player coming on, along with Lamptey and Minte. So changes of foot for the home side, with 65 on the clock and the score locked at 0-0. It feels like the type of game where one goal probably will win it. Roreslev, deep cross into the area, and Bruggen is going to get there. It's a high ball that is easy really for goalkeepers.
But they're getting more joy, aren't they, Brentford? They've stepped up 10 yards. Collins and Ben Mee, fullbacks, are getting forwards, starting higher up the pitch when they're pressing, starting to get a little bit of joy.
And is that why Fabian Hertzler has decided now is the time to make the changes?
Yeah, it will be. It will be. And plus he's given the opportunity to the forward players and they haven't produced yet.
Here's Enciso, just inside the Brentford half. He might be a contender to come off, but he's trying to carry the fight to Brentford here. Picked up by João Pedro, back to goal, 10 yards out. Only really Matoma that he can play the ball into on the edge of the box. Tries to get it back from the Japanese international, does so inside the area, and then Brentford clear it away. And Mbeumo in the right back position, flanked by Estupinian, so he goes back to Collins inside the area. They're being pressed high here by Brighton, Brentford. And Flecken, sorry, not Flecken, it's Van der Marsen, the sub-keeper, calmly plays it out to his left-hand side. And Lewis Potter has gobbled up plenty of ground. From deep inside his own half, he's on the edge of the Brighton area. His cross is wayward, and it's behind for a goal kick, 0-0.
Yeah, he gets a round of applause from Thomas Franks. It was a terrific run down the left-hand side from Lewis Potter. But ultimately, at this level, that's just a really, really poor end to a decent attack and a promising attack.
Well, here come the changes. Ayari for O'Reilly in midfield. Adingra is coming on for Minte. For Matoma, and Minte for Gruder. And Matoma looks a bit forlorn, Dean Ashton.
Yeah, he's probably thinking why isn't Enciso gone off? And why haven't I stayed on? But ultimately he's not produced. Matoma, another performance where there's flashes of the quality that he possesses without that end product at the moment.
Well, he's usually such an upbeat, chirpy character, Matoma, but there was a big shake of the head as he made his way back to the bench. Ultimately another game when he hasn't really been able to make the kind of impact he would have wanted. Yarmouk is going to come on for Brentford next time there's a stoppage. Dingra and Minte, both very pacey, very direct wide players. How much have they missed Danny Welbeck tonight as a focal point? Again.
Yeah, I've been surprised actually just how much they have missed him.
João Pedro brilliantly plays the ball into Adingra. Just come on, back to Enciso, and he is unable to make the most of it as he whips up the Brighton fans behind the goal. He's won a corner. Again, it promised much more than that. Great play by João Pedro initially. Minte with a cutback, but it was slightly behind Enciso, and that's why Brentford were able to smuggle it behind.
Yeah, but there's a slight difference, isn't it? Gruder's more of a jink inside and look to play a clever pass. Minte is more direct, got the pace to get in behind, and straight away gave Lewis Potter a difficult time.
Corner to be played in from the Brighton right. It's going to be a left-footed delivery. It's straight into the arms of Valdemarson. That really sums up the lack of quality we've seen from both these teams. 69 gone, 0-0 on Talksport 2.
Yeah, just looking to whip that in towards the near post, slightly overhit. Goalkeeper comes and claims. Nice and easy for Brentford just to have a breather.
Here they come again though, with Enciso on the edge of the area, trying to link up with Adingra, and it's well defended by Roreslev, who wants a goal kick. It's going to be a corner again. Enciso is waving his arms above his head, trying to get more from those Brighton fans behind the goal they're attacking. And the set-piece coach is out on the edge of the technical area trying to orchestrate this dead ball. And Enciso to deliver, left-hand side as we look, so it's going to be a right-footed ball into the area. They're crowding around Valdemarson, the sub-keeper. It looked like a foul in there. Certainly one of the Brentford players went down. It, again, wasn't a brilliant set-piece at all, and Brentford can counter maybe. And Bumo has got there ahead of Belieber. Finds Wissa inside the area. And Wissa with a left-foot shot low into the arms of the goalkeeper.
Brilliant break, wasn't it? Damsgaard in towards Mbeumo. Really good foot race between him and Belieber. Belieber actually got there first. He was slightly quicker, but then just shoulder to shoulder. Mbeumo just pushed him aside, and then Wissa couldn't quite get the strike away.
Here's Ayari at the other end. This game suddenly is opening up. Adingra. The Ivorian dispossessed by Roreslev inside the box, and he clears the halfway line, but Adingra gets a big round of applause from Fabian Hertzler for his endeavour. Here's Ayari again this week. 0-0 with less than 20 minutes to go at the Amex.
Yeah, it was a weak effort from Wissa in the end, but really good defensive work from Van Hecke. Just got back to make sure that he didn't have the balance to strike it perfectly, and couldn't get the power on it to get it past Verbruggen.
Still 1-0 to Arsenal over on Talksport. They're approaching half-time there. And Enciso trying to win another corner. This time it's a goal kick, and he looks dejected. Enciso, Yarmouk is coming on for Christian Norgard for Brentford. You're listening to Brighton against Brentford on Talksport 2 with Sky Sports. Don't forget you can stream the biggest Premier League games available with no contract on Now. Search Now Sports.
Yeah, you're just slightly surprised at that. That holding midfield spot for Norgard, who's done it very well and sensed the danger. I think Jan Elt will go and play that role, and Yarmouk will come on and maybe just sit alongside him, let Damsgaard be ahead of those two.
At the moment it's going to be 6 games without a win for Brighton. Brentford stemming a run of 3 successive defeats in all competitions. A point much better for them, I'd suggest, than it is for the home side. Brighton go to Villa on Monday night, as I've already mentioned. Fabian Hertzler will still feel this game is there to be won. Valdemarson, who really hasn't had a meaningful save to make, the sub-keeper, plays a decent ball long upfield. Damsgaard looking for Mbeumo. If he can get the ball onto his left foot, he might get a shot away here. Roreslev made the overlapping run, dinks it to the far post. That's a good header behind by Veltman, with trouble lurking. Really good piece of defending.
Yeah, terrific run though from Roreslev on the outside of Mbeumo, because Brighton will be expecting Mbeumo to get onto that left foot and strike, so he just reverses it into Roreslev, flicks the cross that takes a deflection and up and over Verbruggen, but Veltman was there. Lewis Potter was never going to beat him in the air at the back post.
Corner for Brentford, left-hand side as we look. 17.5 minutes of the 90 remain. Are we going to get a winner? Jorginho Ruter, the latest player that Brighton are about to introduce, just getting ready down below us. We've got a brilliant view of the two benches here at the Amex. Ball played into the area, flicked over the top by Collins, and it stays goalless. So Brighton 0, Brentford 0, the current score. For the latest odds, head to William Hill, the official betting partner of Talksport 2's Premier League coverage. A bit of breaking news that Villa striker John Duran's appeal, unsurprisingly, against his red card has been turned down, so he won't be available when Brighton go to Villa Park on Monday night. What was your view on that as a former centre-forward?
I think the problem he has is that he looked down towards where his foot was going to land, and so therefore he doesn't really have an excuse of not being able to see where his foot lands, and it did look like he just left a little bit on him, didn't he? And that was the problem. You're just not going to get away with it with all the angles that they have nowadays.
I'll tell you what, I don't think we're going to be able to see our way back to the car very easily. This fog is getting worse, and it's only the floodlights really that are illuminating proceedings. It's been a problem up and down the country over the last couple of days. João Pedro being held inside the centre circle. Free kick for Brighton. Ruter for Enciso is the change that Brighton are about to make. Meanwhile, Brentford have got a player down in need of some treatment, and I think it's Yarmouk who's only just come on.
No, I think it was Yarmouk that got the yellow card, pulling back João Pedro, and maybe it's is it Ben Mee that's down, and they've got such troubles in that defensive area, haven't they? A full back four that's injured at the moment, first team back four. Wouldn't want to lose another centre back.
Ben Mee is still down on the turf. I'm not exactly sure what happened. Do you know what? I think I've just seen a replay of the incident involving Yarmouk and João Pedro. In the background, it looks like Ben Mee pulls up and immediately reaches for his groin. VAR, by the way, are checking for a potential red card. João Pedro aimed an elbow in the direction of Yarmouk. He didn't make any contact, Dean, but is that because Yarmouk moved his head out of the way, or did João Pedro pull out?
I think João Pedro pulled. It's just a really strange, obviously it was a full action of an elbow to the face, but was a good 3 inches away from his head, so it's not as if...
Is it a violent act?
Well, I mean, it looks like he's thrown the elbow, but he's not touched him.
Well, VAR are still looking at this. Chris Kavanagh, who I think was the VAR at Anfield last night as well, so he's had a busy couple of days. And he's still in conversation with Andy Madley. Off is the cry from the Brentford fans.
It was almost as if João Pedro was saying, I'd love to be able to do this to him because he's just held me back so obviously, but come on, I mean, it's nowhere near him.
Well, no violent conduct is the decision. Did look a little bit concerned for a moment, João Pedro, and tell you what, there are fantasy league managers up and down the country who are a bit worried about that as well. Don't need him getting sent off. That's just me. And producer Deck, I'm sure. You had a good start in that, didn't you, this season? But you've fallen off.
Yeah, I've gone quiet, haven't I?
Well, here comes that Brighton change. Enciso off and Ruter on. What did you make of Enciso's display?
Well, I mean, he's got himself into some great positions. Really, he should have had a couple of goals. And he's just showing that he's slightly off it at the moment. But with that performance, I would probably think, as a manager, I'd want to stick with him. I want to give him a few more games to try and get himself into a place where he starts producing that quality that we know he has.
Well, Ben Mee, sadly for Brentford, is going to be unable to continue, so their injury problems are mounting. Jisoo Kim, the 20-year-old Korean, is going to come on for only his second appearance of the season. As Brighton play the free kick into the area, it's cleared away, and Estupinian being forced back into his own half by Mbumo. 0-0 the score. We've played 78 minutes. The first half was entertaining enough. The second half has been less so. stop-start.
Yeah, and Brentford have been a little better. They've started higher. They haven't allowed easy progression for Brighton.
Here's Ayari though, trying to burst through in the centre, and referee has pulled it back for a foul on Ruter in the build-up. Free kick for Brighton. Thomas Frank not happy.
And Solly March continues to warm up. You can see he's desperate to get on, isn't he?
Well, they've made 4 of their changes, haven't they, Brighton? So options running out on Solly March if he is to make his comeback after 14 months away. They'd missed him as well, I think. Here's Minte, former Newcastle man, crosses from the edge of the area, deep to the far post, heading down inside the box. Comes Rayari, and he blazes over the bar. The flag's up anyway.
Almost, wasn't it? Lovely ball to the back post. Good, brave header. I think it was from Adingra, who was the one that was offside from the initial cross from Minte. Headed it back across, did the right thing. Brave goalkeeping. Valdemarson does really well just to parry it out. Ayari smashes it over the top under pressure, but it wouldn't have counted.
Currently Brighton 0, Brentford 0. For the latest odds, head to William Hill, the official betting partner of Talksport 2's Premier League coverage. Right now, a Brighton win is 6-4. The draw, odds on at 10-11. A Brentford victory is 11-2. That's all thanks to William Hill. 18+, begambleaware.org. I mean, it's felt for some time, hasn't it, Dean, that the first goal will be the winning goal. Are we going to get one?
I'm not sure. I think... Look, I mean, Ben Mee's gone off. Ruter's come on for Brighton. But actually, the longer it's gone on, the more comfortable Brentford have looked. We're still waiting, aren't we, for that? I think that intensity of the onslaught from Brighton in terms of everything happening quickly. Throw-ins, free kicks, everything's got to be quick to try and build the momentum. We haven't quite seen it from this Brighton side.
You're listening to Brighton against Brentford on Talksport 2 with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever the mission, home or away, Enterprise has over 120,000 people helping every day. That they help every day, that is. Brighton in need of a bit of help here to turn 1 point into 3. Lewis Dunk, the captain, chips it forward, looking for Adingra. Neat control from him. Then he looks to get away from Roroslev, does so. And skips past the challenge of Yarmouk as well. Here's Ruter, edge of the penalty area. Shot is charged down, but it's going to fall kindly the loose ball to Veltman over on the far side. Now Van Hecke, plenty to aim at in the centre. Van Hecke instead plays it short to Estupiñán on the edge of the area. And here is Adingra again. This is where the Brighton fans, I think, just want them to be a little bit more direct at times. Adingra, infield for Estupiñán again. Crosses low, cleared away by Yarmouk.
Yeah, that initial burst looks really exciting, and then it just slows too much, doesn't it? And allows the opposition to get set, and then they look comfortable.
I think Brentford at the moment are content just to dig in and try and see out the point. Here's Minte though, over on the far side. Good challenge by Roroslev, out for a throw. Level with the penalty area. Hertzler comes outside his technical area, arms in pockets, hoping his side can come up with a late goal on Talksport 2. 0-0 with 8 to play. And Lewis Dunk, Van Hecke penalised for a foul as he went up for an aerial duel with Wissat. It's a free kick for Brentford on the edge of their own area.
Well, that's just ridiculous. As Visser just stands there, Van Hecke goes up and over. Such a brilliant leap from Van Hecke that actually his knee is near Visser's head.
As we welcome listeners from Talksport, we've got 7.5 minutes to play. It's Brighton 0, Brentford 0. Brentford did have the ball in the back of the net early in the first half. Johan Wisser's strike ruled out for offside following a VAR review. And Ciso for Brighton hit the post early on as well. Brentford had to change their goalkeeper when Mark Flecken was injured making a save. But really in this second half, Dean Ashton, Brighton haven't tested the sub Valdemarson anywhere near enough.
Not at all. First half, the movement, the interplay was excellent. A couple of openings for Enciso, who's just a little bit rusty. in the second half. The longer it's gone on, Brentford have looked comfortable. Be a big point for them, and a clean sheet would be wonderful on the road. But them themselves, I don't think have quite had the belief that they could go on and win the game.
Still time for a winner, but you sense that one goal will win it here. There's another Brentford attack, comes to nothing. Kevin Charder penalised for a foul, and it remains Brighton 0, Brentford 0. Verbruggen with a free kick on the edge of the area. It's not been a great game at all, has it?
It's just lacked that intensity, certainly second half. Run out of ideas. Brighton, it's slowed. You've got to do things quickly. You've got to be a real intensity to build that momentum.
Mayari trying to do that from the free kick, played forward by Verbruggen. Belieber helps it out to Adingra on the left-hand side. He'll run at Roerslev into the area, trying to make space for a shot or a cross. Plays it to the edge of the box, and it's smashed over the top, left-footed by Veltman. 0-0.
Yeah, that should be a fine. Veltman from 25 yards out with his left foot. No would be my call, and I'm pretty sure it would have been from Ruter and João Pedro. That's where that needs to be recycled back out. Keep the intensity, keep it alive. You can't just get, that's just like a gift back to Brentford.
Long ball forward by Valdimarsson, holding in on a rare clean sheet, the Bees here, away from home. Adingra forward to Ayari, he's been dispossessed, and it's 5 against 4 for Brentford. And Mbumo out to his right hand side, deep cross into the box. It's going to be brought down by Charder, closed down quickly by Veltman. Still Charder has the ball, but he's forced to play it back to Janelt on the edge of the area. Chance for Roerslev to cross deep towards the far post, headed clear by Lewis Dunk. Damsgaard will keep it alive, and then it's Kim who tries to play it forward, dispossessed by Veltman, and now Brighton may be able to counter, and it's given away by Minte. Wasteful from the substitute, and here's Damsgaard trying to make him pay into the penalty area. Right-footed shot straight down the throat of Verbruggen. 0-0.
Yeah, shame, because nice footwork from Damsgaard on the edge of the area. Little shimmy like he was going to the left, just jinked to the right, and then just straight at the goalkeeper again. At this level, we've really lacked the finishing in this game. So many of the efforts just straight at the goalkeeper.
Roerslev plays the ball out to the left-hand side. Picked up by Janelt. He plays a forward pass that hits the back of Belieber and goes out for a throw. Confirmation on the big screen. The referee's call of no red card to João Pedro for violent conduct was checked and confirmed by VAR, who deemed the referee's call was not clear and obviously wrong.
Well, here he is.
Yeah, well, this is going to be probably the takeaway moment of the game. Certainly as far as Brighton are concerned. 14 months on the sidelines with a knee injury. Solly March is coming on for the final 3.5 minutes. First, Adingra will run at Roerslev and get the ball on his right foot. Flicks up off a Brentford player. João Pedro plays it into the area. Blocked away and collected by Estupinian. Level with the 18-yard line. Lewis Dunk with a cross. Swung in. Had a good header. Wide from Ruter.
Yeah, a decent ball, wasn't it, from Lewis Dunk? From this left-hand side, just arcing in towards the penalty area. But he deserves his moment.
Well, what about this for innovation? Such a fan's favourite, Solly March. Part of the furniture here in Sussex. And all of the home fans are on their feet to mark his return to Premier League action. He's coming on for Joel Veltman for the final few moments.
Yeah, wonderful moment for him. Can he have an impact? Surely not. Surely it's not written, is it, that he lifts the gloomy fog from the Amex with a goal or an assist?
His first touch is to keep the ball in play over the far side and usher it back to Van Hecke, who in turn rolls it into the feet of Verbruggen, the keeper. 0-0 with 2 minutes to play. João Pedro surely got a push in the back inside the centre circle. The referee said otherwise, and here is Estupiñán with a loose ball, playing it forward to Ruter. Ruter, the record signing from Leeds in the summer, can't get the better of Collins, and then goes in over the top of the ball. Collins is not happy with the challenge. We're going to see a replay now, Dean Ashton. It is a free kick, and there's going to be a yellow card shown to one of the Brighton backroom staff.
Well, he goes diving in, Ruter. I don't think there's a lot in it. I think Collins really does make a lot of this. He's up, he's fine. It was all a lot about nothing, if I'm honest. Probably just a little bit of tactics, probably, from Collins, just to take a bit more sting, a bit more time away from Brighton.
Well, we're into the last minute of the 90. It's still 0-0. Joel Veltman getting a warm applause as he makes his way back to the Tullahoe and walk the perimeter of the pitch from the right back position, replaced by March, who's been dispossessed by Schade on the edge of his own penalty area. That needed clearing away by Lewis Dunk on the slide. Well, that wouldn't have been how Solly March would have wanted to mark his return. Nearly costing his team a goal.
Oh, nearly did. Really good intensity from Schade to keep that in over on the far side. Solly March thought it was gone, as Visser now takes a turn to maybe eke a bit more time away.
It was Jonas Schurman, the assistant manager to Fabian Hertzler, who picked up a yellow card for his reaction to what he clearly saw as theatrics from Collins. Well, this is a good point for Brentford, isn't it, with their away record?
Really good. Really, really good if they can see this out.
They're going to have to see it out for 5 added minutes. 0-0 the score. Back underway over on Talksport. Arsenal only a goal up against Ipswich, maybe surprisingly. Havertz scoring in the first half. As Van Hecke volleys the ball forward towards the Brentford penalty area. But I said in the first half, didn't I? Having dominated the opening 45 minutes, I wouldn't be surprised if Brighton run out of ideas after half-time. That's what's happened.
Well, and also the confidence gains from the opposition as well, from seeing maybe what they felt was the best of Brighton, to be more comfortable, for Thomas Frank to reset things, to just get them higher up the pitch. I think he'll just be slightly disappointed they haven't been able to be more of a threat, actually, Brentford.
Here's Verbruggen, down by the right corner flag, the Brighton goalkeeper. Time no longer on their side. We've already played a minute of the 5 added on. It's still goalless at the Amex, and some amongst the home support have seen enough and are already starting to make their way out. It's going to be another home draw for Brighton. They've drawn 4 of their 8 home games in the Premier League already this season. Ruter dispossessed by Janelt. Yarmouk skips away from Ruter. Maybe Brentford might fancy more than a draw late on. Keane Lewis Potter, left wing position, plays it to the edge of the area. Damsgaard finds Mbumo on the edge of the box. Rorsted's made the overlapping run again, crossed into the box, headed clear by Van Hecke. Brought down by Lewis Potter. Janelt trying to keep it alive, gives it away, and here's the counter. Led over on the far side by Yankuba Minte. He's just on the edge of the penalty area. He's found Simon Adingra. Oh, and he gives it away. Adingra chopped in from the left-hand side onto his right foot. Just ran into Mbumo.
Well, it was just awful decision making. Minte, to start with, needed to play that early to João Pedro, and then when he played it to Adingra, he then cuts inside into the traffic rather than going on the outside, and the numerical advantage was gone.
João Pedro now, left corner of the Brentford penalty area, crosses towards Ruter, cleared away by Kim, and then Schade gets there ahead of Solly March. He's been fouled by March, does he know? Referee says play on. Controversially, March with a low ball in towards Ruter, swept clear this time by Janelt, only as far as Minte. Left-footed ball blocked again on the edge of the area for Brentford, defending manfully as they have throughout the 93 minutes we've had on Talksport 2. 0-0. Sharda forward to Wisser on the edge of the box. Now Mbumo, always looking to chop in on his left foot. Goes outside, this time of Estupiñán. His low cross is going to be cleared away. And then Van Hecker gives it away inside the box to Damsgaard. Roerslev with a cross. Volley clear by Dunk. 0-0.
And even when they've had their counter-attacks, they've never looked like really creating the chance to score, Brentford.
Here's João Pedro at the other end. Dispossessed by Janel. Cleared upfield by Yarmouk. Roerslev helps it on, but 3 Brentford players offside. Can't go for the ball. It's picked up by Verbruggen. And we've got 80 seconds of the 5 added minutes to play. Still goalless.
Yeah, and they want a final push, don't they, these Brighton supporters? They're waiting for it. It's not quite come. Can they?
Well, they might be able to. Ayari with a pullback, well defended by Collins, is out for a corner in the 95th minute of the game.
Yeah, terrific positioning from Nathan Collins. Right in line with the near post, on the 6-yard line, waiting there to be able to cut the cross out. Excellent defending from Collins.
Brighton 0, Brentford 0. This will be the last chance of the game, surely. Ayari, the Swedish international, over the corner. Right-footed delivery. Fleckenrabe flapped at it. Oh, it comes for Solly March. Edge of the area. Left-footed shot. Over the bar.
Oh, what a chance. What a moment that would have been for Solly March. On his left foot, just inside the area. No one went to close him down. He just looked hesitant, didn't he? He just looked like it had been 14 months and he'd almost forgotten what you do. And just blazes it over the bar. What a moment it would have been.
And it would have been real Roy of the Rovers stuff for the returning Solly March, but he couldn't quite keep the shot down. The 5 added minutes are up. The goalkeeper Vladimarsson is about to play this forward. And the referee blows the full-time whistle. 1 or 2 boos from the Brighton supporters. Well, the gloom that has descended on the Amex really echoes the mood, I think. 6 games without a win. Much the better team, Brighton in the first half. Never really got going in the second, and 2 more drop points at home, Dean Ashton.
It was. It's been a familiar story in this run that they've had. Good periods of the game where they look exciting. There's good interplay. Look like they're going to score goals and they just haven't taken them. And then the opposition have been able to get through that and get more confidence and maybe have little moments themselves. And it's something they've got to overcome by keep believing that they're a good team, by waiting for those chances to be taken. And ultimately Herzler will look at his players and say, come on, it's up to you. You as players, I can't put it in the back of the net myself. If you create the chances, I'm expecting you as players at this level to take their chances. That's the only way it'll turn.
Well, I'm not sure I envy being Dean Ashton right now, because it's time for us to pick our man of the match with Enterprise Rent-A-Car.
Man of the match on Talksport 2 with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Enterprise has vans of all shapes and sizes. So if you've got a plan, we've got a van.
And that puff of the cheeks, Dean, probably sums it up. Who are you going to go for?
This is easily the most difficult decision I've had to make. I'm going to give it to Lewis Potter. He's playing left back. You know, he's up against some tricky wingers, a couple that came off the bench also. He's having to do a job for his team because there are so many defensive injuries, and actually still then gives his side a chance on the break, bursting forward a couple of times. So Keane Lewis Potter gets it for me for putting in a shift out of position.
That was our man of the match from today's game with Enterprise Rent-A-Car.